Hey guys, today we're going to go ahead and pull out some common factors again, but we're going to call these level 2 problems. They're just going to be a little bit tougher. Remember that our end goal is to work towards factoring out trinomials again, and that's actually going to lead us towards solving quadratics. So that's kind of where we're going with these videos. So when I look at this first example here, you notice the 10 and 7, there's not a common factor that I can pull out of both of those. So I'm not going to pull a number out. But I have an x to the fifth here and an x to the third there. So there's three x's that I can actually pull out of both of those terms. So if I pull an x to the third out, that's going to leave me with 10. And then if I have an x to the fifth, but I pull three of those x's away, I actually have two x's left, all right? So that's why it's going to become a 10x squared. And then in the next part, minus 7, because nothing changed that, and I pull those three x's out. So that's going to be my final answer. And remember, when we're doing these problems, if you ever want to double check, by all means, you can go ahead and redistribute that factor back into the problem, and you should get the original problem. Like if I was to multiply that x cubed back in, I would get the original problem. Okay, so it's a way that you can always double check when you're doing these. So here's another example. You'll notice this one's not in standard form. So if that bothers you, you could always write it back in standard form. Remember, standard form is having the highest power first and working all the way down to the constant if there is one. So if I were to rewrite that in standard form, I would have 4x to the fourth first and then negative 40x second. Okay? You don't have to do that. That's not an essential step, but it is a little bit nicer. Now, when I look at both of those terms, out of the 4 and 40, you'll notice that I could pull a 4 out of each of those, right? So that's going to be part of my greatest common factor. And I've got an x to the fourth and then an x to the 1. So I could pull 1x out of both of those terms. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to essentially pull 4x out of each of those. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I'm not going to write anything there. But if I pull one of the x's away from x to the fourth, I will have an x to the third. Now, in the second term, if I pull a 4 out of a 40, if I divide that 40 by a 4, I'm going to have a 10. And it's a negative, so negative 10. And I pulled that x out, so that x is gone. So there's nothing there anymore. So this answer would be 4x and then in parentheses, x cubed minus 10. Okay. Let's try one more. So in this one, I've got a 14x to the fourth minus 35x. So 14 and 35, they're going to have a common factor. That common factor is going to be 7. So I know I can pull a 7 out of each of those terms. And both terms have at least one x, so I can pull that x out. So in the first one, 14 divided by 7 is going to be 2. X to the fourth divided by x is going to be x to the third. Minus, and then 35 divided by 7 is going to be 5. And I pulled that x out, so nothing's left there. So there we go. 7x times the quantity 2x cubed minus 5. So hopefully today's video wasn't a big deal either, just a continuation of yesterday's stuff. And of course, we want to thank our sponsor of today's video, and the sponsor of today's video is Weird Dogs. So go ahead and enjoy some Weird Dogs.